so much for downloading today's episode of the Red Pill Investor. My name's John Ashley, a pseudonym of a realtor here in the great state of Arizona, here to help you with your real estate sales skills. Why? Well, it's just sort of my way to pay it forward for all the people who've given me the tips, the tricks, the things to say to get the contract signed when I needed it the most. Their only request of me? Well, simply pay it forward. Thank you so much for joining me today as we begin to conclude our special Investor Week here on the Red Pill Investor Podcast. And boy, I got to tell you, it has been an incredible pleasure of mine to interview these five gentlemen. I have got to tell you, it has been individually inspiring for me to talk with each one of them and learn some of the thoughts that they've had, and then, of course, turn around and share it with you. I'd like to say thank you for those of you who've taken time out of your day to go ahead and go to iTunes and like, rate, and subscribe, maybe leave a little nice note about our podcast. I especially want to say thank you to all of you throughout this week who've taken the time to share this message, to share these powerful podcasts of hope and inspiration. I'd personally like to say thank you to all the individuals, Kurt Stinson, of course, Stephen Chatto, Kyle Pettit, Martel, Esquivel, and Rodrigo, of course, for today. They've all shared with us a lot of great individual knowledge. Now, today's message, what I'd like to share with you is an interview with our executive one-on-one, Rodrigo Afanador. Now, you remember Rodrigo, perhaps, from episode number 380. And he was the fellow that I wanted to share with you then because he was able to go ahead and create for himself as a waiter, as a riverboat guide, a predictable, duplicatable, repeatable wholesale business that was able to generate for himself in 2014 17 closed transactions and over $130,000 to himself without doing any advertising, without doing crazy Google AdWords or mail or anything like that. At the time, I said it was one thing if I could do it. It's one thing if I say that the Red Pill sales system works for me. It's another thing for me to, however, be able to take that information and give it to another person, someone who's completely untrained, who's not a salesperson, and then take that information into their sales practice and create for themselves the same formula. Free. That's quite a challenge. And when Rodrigo did it, that was when we released the book. Now, of course, in anything, the question is longevity. Can you do it again and again and again? Almost it will. It's one thing if Rodrigo or Steven or Kurt or Kyle, it's one thing if they were all one-hit wonders. But as you will learn in this podcast, Rodrigo is no exception. In fact, if anything, he is well on his way to superstar status. It has been exciting to watch him grow. And in this podcast, I'm going to share with you an interview as I sat down and I spoke with Rodrigo about his business, his production in the first 6 months of the year, his challenges, the things he did to overcome them, and of course, 3 tips for under $100 to help you get the business you want. So without any further ado, may I please introduce to you again my executive one-on-one coaching client, Rodrigo Afanador. All right, Red Pill Investors, thank you so much for joining me again today on Investor Week. And this week, I am proud to share with you one of our executive one-on-ones, Rodrigo Afanador. Rodrigo, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me, Carl?
Yeah, I absolutely can. Thank you for showing up today and sharing a little bit of knowledge with us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, happy to do it. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, no problem at all. I know you're a busy guy, so we'll cut right into it. Let me ask you if you've got like a saying or a quote or anything that you say to yourself to kind of get things started for us. Do you have a powerful quote that you have?
Yeah, the one I've actually kind of been saying over and over in my head most recently is actually from an interview did on the podcast with Jason. I don't remember his last name, but it was nothing outclasses a hustle.
Yes, uh-huh.
And so that's kind of been the one that's been my poster board quote, if you will.
So nothing outclasses hustle?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, that was with Jason Lichten. Yeah, he's a great guy.
That's right.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and that was a powerful podcast. I really liked that interview. So, well, that certainly is true. Nothing outclasses hustle, and you certainly are a testament to that. I mean, if you're new to the Red Pill podcast, let me tell you a little bit about Rodrigo. He is in Asheville, North Carolina. He's 25 years old. That's correct. You're 25 now, correct?
Yeah, 25, yeah.
Okay, good. He started out in real estate just recently, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, tops, kind of dipping his feet into the real estate business. And since then, he's really created a systematic, duplicatable, repeatable wholesaling business for himself. He works as independent real estate entrepreneur, works for himself, has a great life, and as far as I know, you have a pretty good income. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's definitely no complaints whatsoever in that regard. It's been a fun ride, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Is it fair to say that you're in the six-figure range?
Not yet for this year, but if everything holds true, that would be correct for this year. Yes, sir.
Okay, so last year, in 2014, did you have a six-figure year?
I did.
Wow.
I was very blessed in that regard.
Good job. Okay, at the end of the year, if you don't mind me asking, about how much did you end up closing in terms of transactions? How many deals by the end of 2014 did you actually close?
Going off memory here, but I think it was about 15 or 17, 18, somewhere in that range. It was just under 20.
Good Lord. Okay, so in your first year of real estate, that was your first year, correct?
First full year. I had another 9 months before that I was, juggling the full-time job and real estate.
Okay, so you were sort of 9 months of juggling real estate and a full-time job, and then when you went into full-time real estate, that was about a year ago or so, about 2014 or so, you did 18 or so transactions your first year, and you had a six-figure income.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Correct.
Wow. Congratulations. Good for you. That's a great job for you. Now, you are a real estate agent. Is that correct?
I am not.
What?
I am not an agent.
What? That's impossible.
Strictly...
Now,
strictly on the investor side.
I'm going to be honest with you. Okay, I know a lot of realtors are probably listening to this right now, and you're outproducing most of the realtors I know who've been at it for quite some time. So, congratulations for you for, again, nothing outclasses hustle. So good for you. You've had a great ride. So tell us a little bit about what this year so far has brought to you. If you've did 18 transactions last year, by the time everybody hears this podcast, it's going to be June, probably 1st or so, real short to that. About how many transactions do you suppose you've done in the first 6 months that have actually closed, do you suppose?
I'm at, it's either 7 or 8, and I don't remember exactly, 7 or 8 for this year so far.
Okay. So 7?
It's been a little bit of a slower start than I kind of wanted or anticipated.
Okay, so 7 or 8 transactions that you've closed since January 1st to roughly May 30th or whatever day this is. that have closed. Now, are they wholesale deals? Are they homes you bought? What's the mix there?
They're all wholesale deals with the exception of one, which is a rehab that I'm doing. I'm actually partnering up with my mentor on it.
Good for you. Good for
here
you.
In the area.
Good for you. Okay, good. All right. And so then when you are talking about, I guess, well, what, 8 transactions, 7, 8 transactions that you've done, that's a deal a month. That's nothing to sneeze at. Now, what are you doing so far this month? I mean, June, how many deals have you got on the board scheduled to close in June?
As of right now, I've got 6 that are scheduled to close for this month of June.
I'm sorry. I think the Skype went crazy there. It sounded like you said 6. How many deals do you have pending in June?
6.
You have
as of right
6.
Now, so.
You have 6 transactions that are pending to close in the month of June.
Correct. Yeah.
Good.
So it should be an exciting month with a lot of gray hairs.
Congratulations. Good for you. Are they all wholesale deals? Are they rehab deals? What are they?
5 of them would be a wholesale deal, and then one's sort of like a rehab wholesale combination.
Okay. All right. Great. So then in this particular circumstance, what I'm hearing you say is that now are they all locked up and they have, their contracts, they're just getting ready to close? It's just everybody's waiting to close? Or is it kind of sketchy?
So they all have contracts on them except one, which is kind of the rehab deal that still looking at myself to just kind of still running numbers, but then the other ones all do have contracts on them at the moment.
Outstanding. Good job. And so
some of them are pending on title issues and things like that, but everything so far looks so good.
Wow. Congratulations. That's amazing production. I mean, you've got really, if by the end of June, if everything works out, you would have got 12, 13 transactions done? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. I mean, you're well on your way to doubling your production, or at least getting very close to adding maybe 25 to 40% of the production that you want by the end of the year. If you keep this tempo up, I mean, that's just amazing production. How do you get? I mean, it just seems kind of a strange kind of thing that you have 1 month, and boom, 6 in a month. I mean, how did that work? Why is that happening?
I'm not exactly, I don't know if I could answer that question in a very concrete manner. That's kind of, it's just kind of in the way some of the things have fallen out. I just know in general, at least in my market, as the, say, end of March to beginning of April, it's kind of where most of these contracts kind of came together since then.
Okay.
And I didn't really do anything different. It just seemed like everything loosened up, if you will, at that point in time. Which is, I mean, obviously I'm not complaining, but it's wish I could explain it better than that, though.
Well, it's interesting. Isn't it funny? I mean, that the longer you keep working, the luckier you get. I mean, as long as you keep pumping away at it, as long as you keep prospecting and working and communicating with people and following up, and, things come around. And it's good to see that it's paying off for you in a big way. So kudos to you for doing that. So now, obviously, it's not been a cakewalk. I can imagine. You mentioned the word gray hairs. What kind of challenges have you faced? I mean, you've really accelerated your business to a level that a lot of people really want to get to. So when you think about it, you've gone from a guy just about a year and a half, 2 years ago, whatever, working in a restaurant or as a riverboat guide or whatever you were doing, to now making this great income, calling the shots, rehabbing houses with people, having this kind of authority. But you're 25. I mean, you're kind of young looking. So what kind of challenges have you had, I imagine, in this path? It couldn't have been easy.
No, it's definitely been challenging. I mean, this year, the biggest, I think the two biggest challenges I've run into is, one is the, feeling, getting the deals done in a consistent manner, not so much the volume per se, but more about just getting them, kind of more clockwork. That's the biggest thing that still kind of is elusive to me thus far, which, it's just working towards that point to gain more consistency on that level. And the other thing is, I've been wanting to get into rehabs at the last, I've done 2 and both of them did not go as planned. So that was kind of hard, definitely some setbacks as far as that goes, unfortunately.
Yeah, I can imagine mentally that sets you back a bit when you're trying to accomplish something great, and especially when you're stepping out into something new, and then you get maybe bit a little bit. It's a learning curve. That's okay. I mean, what would you say you've probably learned? What was, as an investor, I mean, many of the people that I've interviewed this week are in executive one-on-one, and it's really an issue of what I'm trying to get from you is, what do you feel has really helped you to grow, to make those kinds of changes? What kind of things have you really, I would say, adopted, mindsets you've adopted, or habits you've taken on, or what makes you tick? You know what I'm saying? Because there's somebody out there right now that's like, oh, I just want that in my life. How do I do it? So how not like a commercial or anything. I don't want that. I'm saying, like, give them some real concrete ideas about the things you learned.
Okay. Yeah. So obviously, as you mentioned, I'm in coaching with you, so we'll leave that aside, right. Even though, right. Getting coaching is highly recommended in my opinion. But I think besides that, it's been twofold. One is just aggressively, as I mentioned, this other rehab I'm buying is with my mentor, and he's a guy who's been doing it here in this area for, 15 years, give or take. He's about, I don't know how to speak for his numbers or anything, but I would probably say a couple hundred maybe properties in that time frame.
Okay.
And so it's just seeking out, and this is not a secret. I mean, this is something that I've read and heard about, is just networking and building relationships with people who have done it and been there and have that experience that you don't. And so that'd be the biggest thing. And, building those relationships, not just with him, but with other investors here in the area, buyers, and then agents as well. And just kind of being surrounded by people who are performing at levels that I want to be performing at.
That's...
And having conversations with them and seeing the world through their eyes, goes a long way, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting perspective you put there. It is a good point to reach out and make network associations and all of that. But it seems like for you, I don't know. I mean, how did you get all that business? I mean, did you get it all by mailing? Did you get it all by websites? Did you get it by phone calls? What did you do to get all that business?
Yeah, no, okay. It's been a combination of 3 things.
Yeah, be honest, because I know exactly how you do it. So go ahead and be honest.
So this is actually the first time where I've actually had a good amount of success with direct mail within the last couple of months, which has been really, I don't know, it's about time. It pays off, if you will.
Right.
And so it's a good combination between just cold calling off of, Craigslist or Zillow or wherever you can find Disbo numbers, the direct mail, and actually one of the properties that I have under contract that in theory should close next week was a property listing that an agent brought me. And there's one other one that was kind of like that, which was just referral based, because of the relationships or the network that I've been blessed enough to build and be part of.
Okay, so now let's just dig a little deeper here, okay? Because I know exactly how you get business, and for some of these people, this is kind of what they hear on everybody else's podcast. Let's just be frank, okay? Call Craigslist ads, send direct mail, but many times they're like, well, Where do I send it? Who do I send it to? How do I send it? How many pieces do I send it? One of the things I have found to be the most unique about your mailing strategy is that it's free. Is it not?
Yeah, it's no cost out of my pocket, which is correct.
Wait a minute. Okay, so how do you send mail at no cost out of your pocket?
Yeah, so what it is just, obviously real estate is something that's always intriguing to some people, and was asked, like, hey, how do I get involved? I've got, a little bit of money I'm looking to invest, and so presented them with the opportunity, with the option for them to cover my direct mail costs, and then, for covering the direct mail costs, if I close the deal, there'd be, a certain amount of payoff, and because it's, semi-high risk for them, as far as maybe they'll get their money back, maybe they won't, then, once the deal closes from that direct mail, in this situation, I'm paying, I think it's 3 times whatever the mail cost to them was back, for getting involved, and obviously want to strengthen that relationship so we continue to do it.
So as I understand it, you developed a strategy with this particular individual to where they will go ahead, they will front the costs, the entire cost of the mailing. You will go ahead and control where it goes, and you'll handle all of that. And then, essentially, they get like first dibs. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, they're not even buying or anything like that. They're just, if once the deal closes, then I just write them a check to refund them their money plus the proceeds that they gain from being involved.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. Well, that's an interesting approach. So the good news is it's not costing you anything.
Correct. And this is the first time I've tried this, and so it's been really successful thus far, obviously.
And how long have you been doing this?
Just this year.
Oh, just this year. Okay, great. And so you minimize everything. That's what I love about you. All right, good deal. So then now recently in a coaching call, and I won't take up too much of your time, but recently in a coaching call, you'd mentioned to me that there was this perception in your marketplace that you have this advantage perhaps over other wholesalers in your marketplace. You might have a secret, like a trademark secret or something like this, secret advantage or something. You brought it up because a local wholesaler had asked you about it, and what is it about your marketing or what makes you different? Let's just cut to that. What makes you different? What is like a secret or something? What's your secret?
So the one thing that I've just started to do this year is just been using the state contract for getting the deals under contract, and that is the biggest thing, and the usage of that might not be so much the secret. It's more about just learning how to present it in a way that it then does become a secret as far as being an advantage of using one. And also, it opens a lot of doors on the backside when you're trying to assign it to somebody who, is working with an agent or through an agent or is heavily dependent on an attorney. And so that's the secret in itself, more so than what I'm using, it's how I'm using it, if that makes sense.
It makes total sense. So what I'm hearing you say is that the secret, quote unquote, secret to your success, it's not really a secret. I mean, it's obviously hustling and working hard. But part of what you're doing, as I understand it, is using a state-approved realtor contract. And again, you're not a realtor, so you're presenting a realtor purchase agreement. You're filling it out, and you're presenting it to the seller in such a way that they feel comfortable, and they feel more comfortable doing business with you than, say, somebody who's using a 2-page contract that they might have found from the internet someplace. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Yeah, and for the most part, that holds true. Every once in a while, there's a little pushback for it being, such a long contract, and that's a little overwhelming to people. But, when you explain the reasoning behind it, that, eliminates all of that, apprehension, if you will.
So now I know that there's a lot of wholesalers and realtors out there who are listening who are currently using non-state contracts. They're using 2-page contracts, 1-page contracts, whatever they find on the internet, but it's certainly not a state contract. Their concern is that the customer is going to be really, really not into it. They're going to have a lot of pushback, that they're not going to be into it. But you're saying that whenever there is some, it's just an issue of having to explain it. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Yeah, explaining it, but regardless of which contract I was using, explaining it's kind of part of the process anyways. It's more about just educating them as far as the advantage of using the state contract with all the protection it affords them as well as a seller.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then
on the back end, and then on the back end, you mentioned that it opens up the possibility to now sell it to realtors, to sell it to the buyers who are represented by the realtors, as well as those who are heavily, attorney dependent?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Correct,
so does that make it easier to where when you write that contract that way, or you try to assign it, or however it works out, then it's just, you don't get any other counters. You don't have attorneys, getting angry or trying to chop things up. It's just a state contract. That's why it works, right?
Right. Yeah, and it's something that if you're an attorney or an agent, I found is they're very familiar with the contract already, and so instead of trying to understand the contract, they're just looking at understanding the terms of the deal. And obviously, eliminating variables is a helpful thing.
Okay, great. Well, that's a great little tip. So now, just to kind of close it up here, you've been really awesome with your time, and I appreciate it. So just to kind of close it up, if you had, to do it all over again, let's just pretend that, you're the guy out there who's got $500, okay? And you had to start all over. Yeah, you know what? Forget that. Forget $500. You got $100. Okay, you got to go pawn shop presentation your mom's jewels, right? You got to get $100. Okay, so you got $100 in your pocket, all right, and you need to start all over again, knowing what you know now, knowing that as of this day, if everything goes well, by the end of June, you will have closed 12, 13 transactions, in your second year. And making 6-figure income your first year. Knowing all that, what would you say would be the top 3 things you would recommend they work on if they had $100 or less to get where you are?
And
it's a tough question, so you can take your time. I kind of hit you with this one, so I wanted to get that honest feeling.
I definitely. The one thing that two things that don't cost any money is calling people and door knocking.
Okay.
And then as far as the third thing, I guess it'd be similar to the first thing as far as calling people, but I would say is calling not sellers or buyers, just calling people that are doing what you're wanting, what are doing what you want to do, and just try to build that relationship. And since they're buyers, obviously it helps because you get an idea what they're doing. And my experience has been is that it doesn't matter how much if you're willing to work, and people are going to be willing to talk to you and to help you out and to teach you what they know. But they want to see effort first.
Awesome.
I don't know if that helps answer that question.
I think that's a really good point. I like that you're giving them some activities, let's say, to take action now that will give them some money now. I like that. You're saying, you can call, you can door knock, you can take that kind of action. The second thing that I heard you say was that, you need to call perhaps people who are doing what you want to do, so you can kind of learn what they know and not reinvent the wheel. And many times what I've kind of gathered from that is that they want to share, that they're willing to give you the information, that they're happy to do it. But the third thing I heard you say was you have to show the effort. You got to really give up that. Yeah, you got to give up that effort. Hello, are you there?
Yeah, I am. Can you
Oh,
still
okay.
hear me?
Sorry about that. I thought I dropped you there. Yeah, the third thing I heard was that you got to, produce that effort to give the evidence that you're willing to go the extra mile, and then they're willing to step in and help you with your journey. That's kind of what I heard you say. Is
Yeah,
that?
I'd say that's accurate.
Yeah, I mean that's a great way to put it. For under $100, if you're going to get started, you need to take action, like you said. Number one. Number two, you're going to have to build friends, right? Number three, you got to work on your mindset. Number three, you got to work on your mindset. Yeah, what are you going to do for it? You got to show the effort.
And the only thing that wasn't said that maybe was assumed is obviously staying and working on and educating yourself. And there's a lot of free resources out there to do that.
Oh yeah,
is key.
Tons, absolutely. Awesome. Well, listen, I'm going to tell you what. I really appreciate you taking all the time you had to go ahead and share with us today. And I'm going to go ahead and end the interview here because I know you got a ton to do closing these other deals. But if somebody had a referral that was headed to the Asheville, North Carolina area, and they needed to find somebody who was powerful, who knew the market, and could help them find the right professional, what would be a good number for them to reach you at, or an email or Facebook? Where would you have them reach you at? You got a web page or something?
No, the best thing would be to just find me on Facebook.
Okay.
Rodrigo Fonador, and or just call, which I guess would be 828-581.
Slow down. 8 what?
Sorry, 828 974
974
1509.
1509. Awesome. Okay, good deal. All right. Or you can check him out on Facebook. His name is Rodrigo Afanador. That's AFANADOR. And let me tell you, he is a really hard-charging guy. And it's been my pleasure to coach him. Rodrigo, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, absolutely happy to do it. Thank you, Carl.
All right. You have a powerful day, okay?
All right, you too.
All right, buddy. Take care. Talk to you soon.
No problem.
All right. Bye.